With the Moon Boys receiving a dumpulation over the last few days, many emotionally stunted investors are scared that Bitcoin is going to $0 and that all hope is lost for the baby bulls. With the fear in the market quite widowy at maximum levels, it's time to go big or go home. And let's just say, I don't have a home to go back to because I sold it to buy Bitcoin. So if you didn't panic and cry like a little baby over the last few days for something that Bitcoin has done hundreds of times since it was created, hit that like and subscribe. You have quite literally only hours left if you want a chance to win a free little itsy bitsy gift or potentially a big gift if you sign up with the link to FEMX below. And without any further ado, let's take a look at Bitcoin. What it's done over the last 5 days is what we like to call a little bit of a dump. There's some really big news I want to talk about as well. Clearly, as you can see on this chart, this is the fear and greed index. This is the lowest that we've been since 2022. Okay, a lot of fear in the market. People are scared. People are panicking. As you can see here, the Bitcoin fear and greed index is now at 10, the lowest level in over 2 years. The Bitcoin fear and greed index is lower than where it was when FTX collapsed. That blows my mind. If you buy Bitcoin without studying it, you're going to sell out of fear and you're going to lose money. And I unfortunately think that's what a lot of people potentially did. People just don't have control over their emotions, apparently. I think a lot of people watching, actually, based on the comments, a lot of people watching did not panic. We're not babies. But even if only 5% of the people watching this video are babies, that's quite literally hundreds of babies. So if you're a baby watching this video, just stop being a baby. Additionally, why is this bullish? Historically, when emotionally challenged tourists who don't understand Bitcoin have driven this index down to the fear zone, below 25, we followed up with a massive surge in price. And now we sit at 10. This is crazy. I mean, that still blows my mind that we're in higher fear than when FTX collapsed. So here's some examples he points out. Back in December of 2018, we were at an 8. Within 2 months, we surged 330%. 2020, we were at a 9. Within a month, surged 75%. A 10 surged 33% within 2 months. 44% within 2 months. 67% within 2 months. 80% within 3 months. And 20% within a month. This is the most recent back in September, right before we launched up to about 100K per Bitcoin. So a lot of metrics and fundamentals saying Bitcoin is bullish and likely to go up. And now the fear and greed index is also showing us that we just shifted massively into massive fear. This market is panicking like we've seen it only a handful of times in years. And who are the people selling? It's the babies. If you're panic selling right now, you're probably a beginner. A 30% correction in a Bitcoin bull cycle is common. It dropped 53% in 2021 and still recovered to an all-time high. Buying when prices rise and selling when they fall is the silliest thing to do. Yet I guarantee there are people that are getting ready to type a negative comment right now on this video, which I absolutely welcome people to do. But those are the people that are probably just buying tops and selling bottoms, like babies. Come on, guys. I mean, how many times can somebody tell you the same thing and you just don't listen to it? Don't buy tops, don't sell bottoms. That sounds easy, right? It sounds like, oh, well, it's easier said than done. True. But all the metrics right now are telling us that if we're not at a bottom, we're at least close. So if you sold anywhere around this range, you're basically very, very likely, again, it's not guaranteed, but you're basically very, very likely selling a bottom. So if you panicked in the last few days and you sold, again, you can't predict the future and we can't say for sure that the bottom is here or close and it's guaranteed we're going to go back up. But statistically, which is all you can do in this market, is pretty much try to manage your risk and reward. The risk would be telling you right now, this would be a silly time to sell. In fact, this would be a time to buy. Again, it's not a perfect science. It's not guaranteed. We can't say for sure, but the chances of it going up in the next big move rather than a sustained downtrend are just overwhelming. Again, that doesn't mean, could we actually be, and I'm not going to be talking about this in this video, could we be entering a bear market and all hope is lost? Possibly. Okay, nothing's impossible. I do not think that's the case, but we can talk about it as well. Look at this, the NASDAQ 100 and sentiment. Look at the bearish sentiment spike that we've just seen. And look what it corresponds to historically in the chart. Bottoms, okay? So very bearish. Usually when people are this bearish, usually means we're done dumping, or at least very close. Bitcoin on-chain indicators are at bull-bear boundary. This is actually what I was just mentioning about potentially, is this bullish or bearish? I expect this to be the longest bull run in history, says Key Young Jew on X. The longest bull run in history, but he could be wrong. We need at least another month of data to confirm whether we're entering a bear market. If demand doesn't recover, indicators may signal a downtrend. Based on the typical 2-year cycle, the bull market should last for about another month or two. But he said this back in May. The next month or two will be a key turning point. If every indicator confirms a downtrend, I'll admit I was wrong and post about it. But as I said earlier, I think the chances of us dropping below 77K are low. And he sees a high probability of consolidating around 77K for a few months before then moving back up. Additionally, we have the U.S. state of Texas passing a bill for a strategic Bitcoin reserve, and now it's on to the Senate. So that's big fundamental news. We also saw that Michael Saylor met with the House Financial Services Committee to discuss how we can make the U.S. the global leader in Bitcoin. More fundamentally bullish news. And as well, Crypto Caesar on X posting about a potential Wyckoff reaccumulation. This is my bullish scenario. This basically was the dump that this pattern demanded, and up and to the right is what's next if this is a Wyckoff reaccumulation pattern. And as well, look at this. This is Bitcoin 14-day RSI, and this line represents being oversold, and we're oversold. And look what happened in the past, or at least where we were in the past. Basically, what it indicates is that in the past, historically, when we've seen this, these were good buying opportunities. In fact, the best buying opportunities. Obviously, this market, and Bitcoin honestly looks fantastic. I mean, you could even imagine a retest down to the $70,000 range, even low 70,000s, meaning coming down here, and that would just be a retest of this. The reason sentiment is so bad, primarily, if I would have to take a guess, the reason this crypto sentiment is so awful is because altcoins are performing, and they have performed awfully for the past 2 years. There's been no relief for altcoin investors, and that's where the panic comes from. Bitcoin itself still looks fine. As I just said, we could even drop, another $10,000 for a retest, and that wouldn't even necessarily be crazy. We just need to see demand come back in shortly after that. Clearly, we've broken out of this channel. We have to wait and see if this is truly a bottom. It's too early to tell for sure, but one thing we can look at is the daily chart where we've just bounced off of the 100-day moving average. That's where we got this initial buy pressure yesterday when we finally got right down to about 80K. Clearly, we lost the 21 and 50-day moving average about a week ago. But yeah, some support here. Weekly chart as well. You can see we're below the 21 week. 50 week is all the way down at about 75. So whether or not this correction is over, I don't personally, well, nobody knows, but as I've been saying, I personally, as I said in the last 2 videos, we could still see more downside, specifically, going down to the mid, even possibly low 70Ks. But for this to remain bullish, we would need to see buy pressure and interest really pick up there. And again, we need to see what the buy pressure looks like if we get down to that level. These type of sell-offs, which we've seen quite literally, if you're new to the market, you might not know this. We've seen these types of things. I personally have seen these dozens, hundreds of times. And you need to get used to them. If you're panicking every time we do this, look what happened back here. Look at what has happened historically. If you weren't around to witness them, these will just look like little squigglies on a screen that mean nothing to you. But if you experienced them and you went through them, then you'll understand why this little blip on the chart is meaningless. And if you're panicking over what just happened, the only thing I can say to you is you're quite literally just new to the space, and that's fine. But be more quiet. Try not to be a loud, annoying, beginner. Do you know what I mean? It's just you look dumb. I don't know how to say this without coming off as arrogant, but if you're panicking about a Bitcoin drop, right, and you're just losing it, and you're you're not in a good financial spot because of a little dump, which again, everyone who's invested, their portfolio is also down, right? But if you're making a lot of noise and complaining and saying, oh, it's over, whatever, I mean, I think you're just better off keeping that to yourself, because one, the only thing you're doing is you look dumb. I mean, that's, it sounds arrogant and it sounds rude, but you truly look dumb, right? Look at the chart. It has done this thousands of times. And when we zoom out like this, if you squint your eyes, it doesn't even look like we've dumped, right? Look at what has happened. So I get it. Maybe you're scared. Maybe you're new and you don't understand how it works. That's okay. Just be quiet. And you have hours left if you want to win a free Tesla Model S or a Soul or even 2 USDT, right? So big or small prizes. And you can get signed up with the link below. Without further ado,